thank you for watching my channel today. My name's Sarah and my channel is called Your True Shelf. I am a bit ill at the moment. I just have a bit of a cold, had a bit of a sore throat, so you might be able to hear that I sound a little bit disgusting, so sorry. So today I would like to do a video where I look at some of the books that I've been avoiding reading for whatever reason. Just ones that I'm never really drawn to pick up because I really feel like I just want to read books that I know I'm going to really enjoy now, and there were ones that I chose a really long time ago that I don't know if they're really my thing anymore. So I just wanted to pick 10 of them and have a little try of them, see if I like them, and if not, I'll unhaul them. If I do like them, hopefully it will push me to read them more quickly. I recently watched Charlie Brick do this and it made me think that it was time for me to do another try of the same thing. So the first book that I want to try is one that I didn't buy. It was given to me by my friend, and it is a sort of modern classic called Cry the Beloved Country by Paton. I think he's from South Africa. So I will, it goes nicely with my top, doesn't it? So that's a nice start. I really do like the cover, but I don't think I'm ever going to sort of automatically reach for this book just because I didn't choose it myself. So let's give it a little go and then I'll report back. So I've read the first couple of chapters because they're quite short. The synopsis of the book is about a father who's gone to Johannesburg to find his son. And it says that his search takes him through a labyrinth of murder, prostitution, racial hatred and reconciliation. This was published in 1948. It was making me want to carry on in a way, but I didn't really like the style of the writing. I feel like it's one where we're never going to get to know the characters very well. There's no speech marks. I think that it's probably an important text, but I think if I put it back on my shelves I probably won't necessarily read it, so I'm going to unhaul that one. The second one is one that I bought because it was quite hyped a few years ago and I'm just not really that interested in picking it up now. And that is The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield. This is investigating the story of a house called Angelfield House, which is sort of now being abandoned, and about 4 children who used to be there, 2 of whom were twins, and somebody's now investigating the past of the house, the past of the family, and sort of forgotten secrets. So I have never really been drawn to pick this up, even though I bought it. And let's give it a go and see what I feel now. Right, first chapter done. So we started promisingly in the first page with a lady who was unlocking the front door, and her dad had left a light on for her. They're in a bookshop. She gets a letter which she's sort of thinking about who the writing is and things, and she sits down to read the letter. So I was kind of drawn in by that bit, and then the letter I got bored with, so I actually skim read the letter. And then the letter was from an author who is going to ask this protagonist to come and interview her, I think, to tell her story. And I have the feeling, just from the bit that I read to start off with, that this is going to be a 3-star read for me. I don't see it being a read that I love and adore. I was already sort of flicking through to get ahead and see what's going to happen in terms of whether I want to carry on. So that suggests I don't want to carry on. And so I'm going to unhaul this one as well. The next book is one that I bought not that long ago, probably 2-3 years ago. And I think I got it in one of the Waterstones half-price sales. I was attracted by the cover. And this is The Winter Garden by Alexandra Bell. So it is really beautiful, but I haven't felt the urge to pick it up since I bought it. It's about, can I hold it this side? It's about a young girl whose name I've already forgotten. A young girl who's 8 called Beatrice, who discovers a garden which she spends every night in for a week, kind of a magical type of garden. And then she can't access the garden anymore. She just doesn't know quite what happened, or whether it was real or not. And then when she's an adult, she is going to be married to a man who she doesn't really love. And she decides she wants to go and try and find the garden again. It's set in Victorian England, and her and her friend receive an invitation to try and create a spectacular garden, and whoever the winner is will be granted one wish, and she thinks this is to do with the winter garden. So that's the premise. It's quite a chunky book. It's quite a thick book. So let's see if I was right. Again, isn't the cover just so beautiful? I just really love it. But let's see if the beauty of the cover matches up to the beauty of the story. I haven't read the whole prologue because it's quite long, but I've read enough to know that I want to keep this one. It reads a little bit like YA. I have to look if it's a YA or an adult book, but it reminds me so far a little bit of The Secret Garden, about like a young girl whose mother dies, who finds solace in a garden. It's definitely got some magical kind of writing in there, and it was really easy to read. I was enjoying it, and I am intrigued to find out a bit more about it, so I'm going to keep hold of this one. Next is a book that I've had on my TBR for 10 years. I was really excited to read this book, and I still think it sounds really good, but it hasn't got very good reviews. I'm not sure why. This is Longbourn by Jo Baker. So this book is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice from the downstairs point of view, so from the servants and staff who work in the house, which makes me think straight away that it will be a good book. It was a Richard and Judy book club in 2014, which is how I know I've had it for 10 years. And I think it sounds really good. So I'm not sure why it's not rated very highly, but I will dig in and find out. I'm not really sure. So this opens with a scene where Sarah, who is one of the house girls, is doing the washing with another lady, and she's got some water from somewhere outside, which is very cold. It's about 4:30 in the morning, and then she slips on pig poo that wasn't cleared up the day before, and she falls, the buckets go everywhere, she gets covered in pig poo, and then her and her colleague are going through like loads and loads of washing. Their hands are raw, they're really cold, and they're just sort of chatting, but nothing's really happened. And my concern is that not that much is going to happen. I don't know how much we're going to see the characters that we're familiar with from Pride and Prejudice. I'm just concerned because this hasn't got good ratings, so I'm putting this on the maybe pile. I will make a decision for definite once I've read the reviews to see if it is kind of quite slow and not really worth the effort. So that's on the maybe pile. Then I have a book which again was very popular in the past. It's signed by the author because I went and saw her at a book event, and this is The Girl with a Pearl Earring by Tracey Chevalier. It's quite a small book. I've watched the film of it. I just never feel inclined to really pick it up. So I know it's about like a housemaid again who is in the household of Vermeer, the painter, and I think there's sort of like a lot of sexual tension between them, but I don't think anything actually ever happens. So let's give it a try and see if it's one that I want to keep. So it's set in 1664. Let's go and see. This is a yes. This is the kind of writing that I've been looking for in the books that I've been reading so far. I have read previous books by Tracey Chevalier, the one about Mary Anning, and also The Last Runaway, and I liked those books a lot actually. And straight away with this one, we're in the scene where there's a young girl called Greet, and she is chopping vegetables for some soup, and she's with her mum, and this couple come in to the kitchen to speak to her, and she's just describing like what she's been doing for the food preparation, and they're asking her a few questions, and then we learn that she's going to go the next day to live at their house and be their maid because her father has lost his job, and so they don't have much of a choice. And I was really immersed in the writing. The writing was really good, and I can see how it's going to build up tension and relations between the characters and things. And so this is a definite yes. I think this is the most definite yes that I've had so far. So this is going on the yes pile. Next, I have a non-fiction, and I feel really guilty for not reading this sooner, because it's of a very important and well-loved character. Not character, real person. And this is the first in Nelson Mandela's memoirs. This is called The Long Walk to Freedom. I have book 1 and book 2. They're both quite chunky. And obviously now Nelson Mandela is a very respected and admired historical figure who I think a lot of. But I just don't know why I'm never really drawn to pick up his memoir. And so let's give it a try and see if it's a memoir that I want to continue with. So this is volume 1. This is from 1918 to 1962. So I read the first chapter. It was very much a description of groups of people. There were lots of names. It was kind of like an introduction, and it talks about sort of the different tribes that live in an area and things like that, which is obviously interesting. But there are lots and lots of names of people, and it's a little bit like when I was reading it, this happened and then this happened and then this happened and then this happened, and I feel like it's kind of written in a factual, linear kind of way, rather than as something that I'm going to be engrossed in. Like when I read a memoir, I really like it to be something that draws me in emotionally, and I feel like I can connect with this person and what's been happening in their lives, and it's important for me how the story is told. And when I sort of flicked through other parts of the story of the book, it was still that kind of, I went here and we had this conversation, then I went there and we had that conversation, then I went back to this place, and it was like that rather than the kind of style of memoir that I enjoy more. And so, meaning absolutely no disrespect to Nelson Mandela, I think I'm going to pass these on, because I feel that I'm not going to pick this up, even though it kind of pains me to say it. I just don't connect with the writing style, so I'm going to pass those on. So the next book I got is, I need to sit up a bit, don't I? The next book I got is one that was quite popular again. It's now been adapted for TV, and it's got another low rating, and lots of people say that the ending's really frustrating. The premise sounded really good, which is why I bought it. Now again, I'm not sure. And that is Leave the World Behind by Rumaan. So I am intrigued to see what this one is like, because of the kind of split amongst whether people like it or don't like it. I know that the premise is that there's a couple who are staying in a holiday property when there's a power cut, I think, and there's a knock on the door, and 2 people come and knock on the door and say, this is actually our place and we need to come in because there's a massive power cut in New York. And so I think there's like whether to believe people who come and say, we're the owner of this holiday cottage. So the premise sounded really interesting, but like I say, no, it's not for everybody. So let's have a look. So this is one where I liked the writing style to start off with, and then it was basically that the family were in the car going on the way to their summer vacation. There was mum and dad and 2 kids, and I quite liked the way that it was describing the journey and the sort of just like the kids being on their phones, the parents not really talking, the windows up because it's too noisy, the car's getting a bit like stifling. It was all interesting, and then I just sort of had a flick through because I was just kind of curious about whether it just stops and what to do in between, and I just think it's going to be frustrating. I did something that I never do and read the end. And I never do that, and I hate it when people do that, but it literally just has one sentence and then stops. And so I'm not going to read it because I don't want to be annoyed by investing time in it and then the ending's disappointing. I'm doing really well. I'm really impressed because I really want to get my TBR down, and this is a really good way of doing it so far. The next book is one that I've had for a long time. Again, it's a charity shop buy, and this is How to Stop Time by Matt Haig. I really liked I really liked The Midnight Library by him. It was really, really good. And this is a book about time. So it's a guy called Tom who is 41 on the surface, but he's actually been alive for centuries. And he keeps changing his identity to stay one step ahead of his past and stay alive. And it says the one thing he must not do is fall in love. And I saw Aaron talk about this recently, and he said he really liked it. So let's see. I do like books that mess around with time. Will I like this one? The first chapter's quite short. So yeah, let's see. This one's not holding my attention. It's jumping around quite a lot in time. It's just not drawing me in. I'm already flicking through again to see if I like it. So this is going on the no pile. There are pleasingly growing no pile. So I have 2 books left. And I have to go on the school run in about 10 minutes. So I need to hurry up. This book won the 1992 Booker Prize, and this is The English Patient by Michael Ondaatje. I have watched the film of this, but I don't remember too much about it. I think I bought it because the writing's supposed to be phenomenal, and one of my all-time favourite passages comes from this book. I will not be able to find it on demand, but I love one of the passages of this book. So I'm interested to try this. It's actually got quite a pleasing font and font size. So let's see. So this is really well written, but I can tell it's very bookerish. It's very slow. It's basically, I think, going to be, the whole book is going to be a woman who is a nurse looking after a man who's just known as the English patient because he can't remember who he is. He's been very badly burned, I think, from falling from a plane on fire in the Second World War, and he was found in the desert, and he's got awful burns, and I think it pretty much says that he's going to die. And this woman is sort of nursing him and reading to him and stuff like that, but I can tell from just looking through it again that even sort of halfway through and things, it's still the same scene of them sort of her looking after him, sorry. I know it's just going to be like slow and very literary, and so I'm going to pass this one on as well. So I have one last book, another Booker long-listed prize, and this is Days Without End by Sebastian Barry, which I really wanted to read when I got it. It cost a Book of the Year in 2016, so I've had this for a really long time again. But I don't know that the writing style is going to be for me. So it's set in two 17-year-old men, Thomas and John, who were fighting in the Indian Wars and the Civil War in the 1850s America. They've fled terrible hardships. Their days are now vivid and filled with wonder despite the horrors they see and are complicit in. Then when a young Indian girl crosses their path, the possibility of lasting happiness seems within reach if only they can survive. I think it's like a love story between the two men. And I think that Sebastian Barry wrote it in tribute to his son. Let's see if I am interested. I just recorded my thoughts on this, and for some reason it had absolutely no sound. One thing I would like to say, if this has been present throughout the video, my cat is snoring really loudly. So if you can hear snoring, it's her, it's not me. I hope my mic's not picking it up, but it could be. So we're following the two young guys here. It talks about how they prepare bodies of men who've been killed in action by making sure they're really clean and well shaven and tidy and everything. And then they get put in these coffins that's such thin wood that the wood bows and nearly splits when they're in there. And then it sounds like they've run away from that situation, and they have no spare clothes, money, anything like that. And they come across this sign, which is outside an establishment saying, clean boys wanted. So they decide they'll go in and explore, and the owner says that they want boys to dress up in women's clothes and to dance with the local men because there aren't enough women to go round, and the men just want someone to dance with. Whether it involves anything more than that, I don't know. But they're up for the challenge. They're like, we might as well. What have we got to lose? So that's all that's happened so far, but the writing is very good, immersive, drawing me in, making me want to find out what happens. I got the premise of this book completely wrong. I thought it was about 2 soldiers in World War One, but obviously it's America in the 1800s. So this is going to stay on the keep pile. So to sum up overall, we are definitely keeping. My favourite 2 of the pile were The Girl with the Pearl Earring by Tracey Chevalier and Days Without End by Sebastian Barry. They're definite keepers. I'm also going to keep The Winter Garden by Alexandra Bell for when I fancy something a bit more cosy and magical. I think that would probably be an autumn-winter type book. And then unhauling The 13th Tale, Leave the World Behind, The English Patient, both volumes of Nelson Mandela, How to Stop Time, they're all falling over now, Cry of the Beloved Country, and most probably Longbourn, although I am just going to double check the reviews before I unhaul this. So I'm really pleased with this. I think this has worked really well, and I'd love to get my TBR down massively. Like I said at the beginning, I just want to read books that I know are going to be really good books rather than average books. I want to spend my time reading things that I'll love and get rid of those sort of impulse buys that have been given to me that I'm not really that interested in reading. So I think it's been a success. If you think I'm making a huge mistake with any of the books, then let me know. Or if you want to trash talk some of the books because you really didn't like them either, that would also be fun to hear. But I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's given you some inspiration to tackle your TBR and try and get your numbers down. And I hope that you have a really good week, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.